HOA officer tried to invade my property. My electric fence stopped him cold. I never thought I'd have to use the perimeter defense system I installed during my years in private security, especially not in a sleepy suburban neighborhood. But that's exactly what happened the morning a self-declared HOA enforcer tried to storm my land like it was some kind of militia drill. My name is Dana Washington. I'm 42, a former Marine Corps logistics officer turned freelance security consultant. I bought my house in Redwood Glen 2 years ago, seeking peace and solitude after a career built on chaos. The land is mine, fair and square, and I designed it with care, reinforced fencing, discreet cameras, and yes, an electrified perimeter meant for wildlife deterrence. It's legal, it's posted, and it's effective. So when a man in a fake police vest tried to unlatch my front gate to inspect for unpermitted construction, I let the system speak for itself. He touched the metal. The crack was sharp. He jumped back, clutching his hand, yelling something about assault, and I just stood there, coffee in hand, watching the consequence of arrogance meet the laws of physics. Redwood Glen is one of those picturesque neighborhoods that feels like a brochure. White picket fences, Sunday lawn mowers, 4th of July block parties. I moved here after retiring from my second career. After years of analyzing physical vulnerabilities and conflict zones, I thought I could finally unwind. But even paradise can rot from the inside. I first noticed something strange when pamphlets started showing up on doors. Neighborhood Order Committee, not the actual dormant HOA, but a new group led by a woman named Karen Duvall offering security patrols, compliance visits, and community restoration services. It was all unofficial, of course. But then the uniform showed up. That morning, 2 men and 1 woman, none of them actual law enforcement, patrolled the street in a golf cart with red strobe lights mounted on top. Their vests said Property Enforcement Unit. Their clipboards were filled with citations. It would have been laughable if they weren't trespassing. The man who got zapped, he called himself Deputy Roy, had no badge number, no ID, no warrant, just a clipboard, sunglasses, and way too much confidence. "I'm investigating possible unregistered structures," he said, pointing toward my newly built side storage shed. "Did you notify the county?" I asked. "No need," he said. "Our HOA allows discretionary inspections." I smiled. "This HOA doesn't exist anymore," I replied, "and you're not qualified to inspect anything but your shoelaces." He didn't like that. While I warned him not to open the gate, he scoffed. "You can't legally block community inspections." "I can." And I did. He reached for the latch. Zap! He staggered back, yelling that he'd been attacked. I reminded him there were 4 signs clearly posted around the fence. "Electrified fence, do not touch trespassers, will be prosecuted." He threatened to call the police. I encouraged him to do it. When the county deputies arrived, they asked for ID. Deputy Roy had none. Karen Duvall showed up minutes later, arms crossed, claiming I had created a hostile environment. She accused me of harboring unlicensed weapons, of conducting paramilitary operations on private land. I offered the deputies a tour voluntarily. Everything was code compliant, registered, legal, documented. Karen and Roy, not so much. That's when the questions started turning toward them. Over the next week, I launched a quiet investigation. Using my connections from the private security world, I traced Karen's operation. Turns out she'd filed a business entity called Redwood Property Oversight LLC, claiming jurisdiction over the neighborhood through expired HOA bylaws from 15 years ago. She used this to collect patrol donations from elderly residents, issued phony citations with QR codes linked to her own PayPal. And worse, she'd authorized at least 7 inspections of properties owned by people of color, veterans, and renters. Her targets weren't random. They were calculated, including me. I compiled evidence video footage, signed witness statements, fraudulent documents. I shared it with the district attorney's office. At the same time, I contacted a local reporter I trusted. She'd covered stories on illegal HOA activity before. Within days, the article hit the local papers, "Fake HOA Patrol in Redwood Militia or Menace." The response was thunderous. Comments flooded the paper's website. Residents began protesting at the community office. A public hearing was scheduled. Karen tried to dismiss it all as fake news, but the investigation had legs and teeth. At the hearing, I presented my case. Video of Roy getting zapped, images of fake citations, audio of Karen calling me a threat and implying I was militarizing the community. She tried to shout me down, but the community had already made up its mind. The county revoked the business license tied to her LLC. Sheriff's deputies issued her a cease and desist. Roy was charged with impersonating an officer and trespassing. And the residents, they finally saw what was hiding under the manicured lawns and HOA buzzwords. Control, fear, racism, plain and simple. Since then, Redwood Glen has changed. A real, resident-led committee was formed with transparency, term limits, and zero fake uniforms. We established Community Watch with the Sheriff's Office, not against it. Seniors who were previously fined got their money back through small claims court with help from a legal aid nonprofit I partnered with. And me, I was asked to teach a home security workshop at the library. The same neighbors who once avoided my eye now drop off pies and ask for advice. Even Roy's cousin, who had no idea what he was doing, apologized to me at the farmer's market. Here's what I know. Power is seductive. So is fear. But truth electrifies. Literally, in Roy's case. You can build fences, but they mean nothing unless you also build awareness. My story isn't just about a fake HOA. It's about what happens when you stand firm, wire your gate, and refuse to be intimidated. The end.